Hello and welcome back to Getting to Know Liberty with your host, Anumitha Vaka. So for today's episode, our special guest is Mr. D'Antonio. So now let's go to one of his students with more about Mr. D'Antonio.
I like D'Antonio because even though he's a Cubs fan, he knows how to make every class enjoyable and fun, and he just has an outgoing personality.
Stephen D'Antonio. I teach AP World History, Government, and Criminal Justice. This is my 11th year. They each offer their own unique sets of experiences. With criminal justice and government, you're talking about real things that are applicable to life that impact us on a daily basis. AP World History is one of the few opportunities you have in Wentzville to really broaden your understanding of the history of the world and how we got to where we are today. And without the focus of, European or American, backdrop, just really looking at the places like China and India and Middle East, Africa, South America, all those places. So there's a lot of things about teaching that I think are really, really awesome, but for me, the one that I think I enjoy the most is that kind of aha moment. Like when you spend a lot of time kind of developing a lesson and then you just see it click with your students. I think that's a really cool sight, a really cool feeling, and I enjoy it. No, that wasn't always my plan. I always wanted to work with young people. So when I was in high school, I kind of figured I'd be a pediatrician. So I took a lot of the medical development classes. I took a lot of the child development classes. When I went to school, I started off pre-med. And basically I was walking home from a biology class my first semester as a freshman. And this is like the 10th time in a row we were talking about like protists or something. And I just thought to myself, I can't do this for another 10 years. And so my favorite classes throughout high school had always been history. And I had a minor in history, and I just made that my major. And that's how I kind of got into teaching. So I have a wife I'm married to for 10 years, and I got 3 kids, all girls. I got Eliana, who is 6, Ava, who is 4, and Josie, who is 4 months. So I was never a person early on in my life that always wanted to travel. I thought just seeing it in a book or going on the internet and seeing a picture of it was good enough. And I even had that mentality through my early years of teaching. And then when I was 26, my wife had one of her best friends was out at school in Harvard, out in Boston. And so we went out to visit her. And Boston was like the first city that I've gone to that had like a real deep, rich history, with the American Revolution and all that kind of founding stuff. And I remember going to the memorial of Bunker Hill, the Battle of Bunker Hill, and just kind of thinking back to my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Stroud, who was teaching us about the battle. He told us about how the American commander said, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes," and all this stuff. And we inflicted heavy casualties but lost the battle. And it was kind of even though we lost, it was a kind of a momentum play. And I just, it was kind of surreal being in that place where that happened. And so at that point, I kind of thought to myself that I really wanted to start going to these places that I teach about. I've taught about the Coliseum for so long, and I'd never been there. So let's go there and see where 50,000 people were screaming as people were battling to death and those kind of things. And so I started traveling around and seeing all those places, and now it's just kind of a part of who I am, and I love doing it. I think all of them offer something that I think every student should experience in some level or another. I mean, obviously government they're required to take, but it's maybe the most influential class in terms of your day-to-day life and how it's impacted. So I think you should understand how that works. Criminal justice, obviously an elective, but we all operate within a criminal justice system, and hopefully we don't ever get involved in it, but statistically, chances are, in some way, shape, or form, we're going to be involved in it, and I think it's good to know about that. And then, of course, just not living in our own little bubble. The world is obviously a much bigger place than just here in St. Charles County, so we should be exposed to other ideas and places, and I think that makes us more round as humans. I teach really just because I kind of love it, but I also kind of like the flexibility that teaching as a profession provides. I was very fond growing up of my parents. We didn't necessarily have a lot of money or a ton of stuff. I mean, we weren't worried about food on the table or anything like that, but what I did have that I find invaluable now as I look back on it is my parents were always there. Whether it was a sporting event or anything, my parents were always there. And I want to have a career or a job that affords me that same luxury, that I can provide for my family, their basic needs, but at the same time I could also, be there for them at their soccer games or whatever it is they decide to do as they get older. I think teaching allows for that, and I also like the variety, and I love the interaction that I have with the students. So there is an added benefit there. Like, I don't dread coming to work. I look forward to it because it is, every day is different, and those conversations are pretty fun.